Hello YouTube, Matt here, doing a bit of a different video today. We've got a few videos back to back to back. This is going to be one of the playlists. There will be a playlist made with deck profile and a separate video at the end. This is a tournament run by JJ/GGMrRogers. Links will be down in the description. The image of him will be, his logo will be over here. I want to give a massive thanks to him for running the tournament and for actually letting me record this and put this on YouTube. Much appreciated. Please do drop follows on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Really great guy. Can't plug him enough, honestly. But I did ring my Magnolia set 2 to his tournament. There are going to be 3 rounds, which will obviously be this video and 2 others, depending on which order you're viewing them. To try and watch them in order, because I might accidentally spoil what rounds what and what happened in the previous round. But it is going to be post commentary, because I was more focusing on the games than actually trying to commentate my own games whilst playing them. And then obviously at the end of each video I will put a little summary of how the game went, how I could have done better, and anything I personally misplayed on. I shall see you guys on the other side of the video. We are actually back for game 1 now. Judge doing 2 dice high rolls. I did lose the dice roll, so I will be going second. You got me on the right playing Magnolia, and my opponent on the left is playing the big bad Bruce. So obviously I redraw 2 here. My opponent, I'm ignoring, he redraws 2 as well. They're just reshuffling after that. Obviously doing the three piles again. And he obviously does 2-1-3. I'm lazy as usual, so I do the 2-1-3 back. We stand up vanguards. Proxies are allowed for this tournament, so you will see some obviously on my side, because I haven't had access to the full set for DBTO2 yet. The opponent discards heal to ride into Steve. Steve soul charges a PG and pulls Matt back. On my side, you see me discard Amantis, ride Charis, draw for starter. I then proceed to call an Urgla and actually rush in face. Swing 8 Vanguard. Opponent takes it. I draw check and it's crit trigger. Crit Vanguard, power to rear guard. First check's a heal, so obviously that nullifies my trigger. Second is a Proto Bulb. But this is still 18-18, so it does force extra guard out of him. He's debating what to guard with here. Obviously going to 3 at this stage of the game isn't good. He does decide to guard with the Proto Bulb. Not Proto Bulb, Duga. He then discards Mabel to ride up into Richard. Richard tucks in Matt to draw a card. And swings 10 at Vanguard. Obviously I give him trigger to pass. And he checks over trigger. So yep. Passes over the defensive. I take 2 damage because obviously he gets the permanent crit. First checks Elenia. Second checks Kusi. I do draw for turn. I then discard Gnosla to ride Lattice and then use Charis' skill. And it gets me a Charis, which is nice. Now it makes a nice 16k column. He can't target the Charis for retires. Swing 10 Vanguard, so obviously putting pressure on again. He does no pass. Oh, over trigger pass technically. I then hit drive check a crit trigger, giving all effects to rearguard. This is now a 26k column, forcing 20k guard out of him, which is a lot of pressure. Obviously, his hand's starting to grow very small very quickly, because obviously that's 2 15k shields he's had to use. Discarded one for one obviously being one of the discards. He does PG this because he can't let that go through, discarding a Hell Dive. He then discards another Duga to ride into Bruce. So obviously he's stuck back against the wall, got 3 cards hand, I think it was at this point. Yep, 3 card hand. So he can't really create a board to actually pressure me with, because obviously I'll then take that out, leaving him nothing to do with his Bruce turn. So he just swings in 13 at Vanguard. Obviously I'm thinking here, because obviously Still got the over trigger crit. Nothing. So first check's a draw trigger. Power to Vanguard draw. Second check is a Dominaru. So then we stand draw. We're going to discard to ride up into Magnolia. I do Soul Blast Lattice for Lattice's skill. Check top card. It's a draw trigger. You can see there was a little pause for me. It was me debating, do I actually want to keep the Soul to actually do more pressure plays with, but choose not to do it. I'm able to move the Charis over to the other side of the board completely now due to Urza's skill, and then use the draw trigger to line up with Ursula herself. So it's a nice 13k column there, still to hit the Vanguard. And obviously now we've got Vanguard 13. The Charis on his own's protected from being attacked by Leonard. I do get a crit here, so obviously crit Vanguard power to the other side. He does hit a front trigger. Obviously that puts him to 23. I decide in the end it's not worth going for Magnolia's skill, because obviously Charis then won't hit, and this already hits 23, so it's not worth the extra power. He does block a heal trigger, because he doesn't want to go to 5 yet. Obviously it's 4-4. He's got a 5-card hand now. He doesn't Persona Ride, does ride that, call down Marjorie and Leonard. Does call a unit behind Leonard as well. So Leonard swings in, gaining 5k from skill. He does swing at the rear guard column, so he gets to take it out. For Soul Charge 2. Soul Charge is front on the first one. Calling out Steve. And second Soul Charge is an Eden. And he, I believe at this point he calls out Matt, because he's got a severe lack of boosters actually in the Soul. Oh, now the glare's gone. I did see it was Marjorie behind Marjorie. So obviously Marjorie swings in, tucking in Marjorie, drawing one, and Soul Charging a third Marjorie. So at this point, we've pretty much guaranteed he's locked out of Marjorie after this one's dead. I do block that with a crit trigger, so it doesn't go through. Then he swings in with Vanguard. Soul Blasting 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and he Soul Blasted one of his ride lines. So obviously put it to the side so he doesn't lose it for the next game. Standing up Marjorie and Leonard. This has obviously still got the crit on it, so obviously I've got my trigger in hand, I guard it. Gives me a nice safe no pass. He does heal. Camera did freeze there slightly due to connections. Gives power to Marjorie. So he's debating which order he wants to attack with next. He attacks in with the Leonard column. Gains 5k obviously because of Steve's skill. So it does become a 28k column at the swing at the Vanguard. So 20k guard. Obviously this is me saying where the extra 5 come from, because I forgot about Steve completely. Obviously this is the one I can't let hit, because I don't want to let him have a booster out to swing in boosting Marjorie. So I block with a crit and a heal. A little bit of overguard, but unfortunately that's all I can master because the cards in my hand are all triggers. Damage check is a Kusi. So draw for turn. I do Persona Ride, so nice little bit of power gain there, which is really useful. I then call Alenia, Power Blast and Soul Blast, so I can actually call more units out from the drop zone. I will note here that I do use Alenia over Wild Intelligence, because I don't want to... You get the same number of units on board, but Alenia obviously, like in this situation here, I get to give 5k power to Gnosla. And I don't have to mill a dex, because obviously I'm starting to run to the point of I want to hit my triggers, so milling triggers is a downside. I then call a second Alenia down to give a Admantis behind the Vanguard. So Admantis obviously gains 5k and then gives his 5k to Gnosla to really stack those powers up. Then swing 23 at the Vanguard. This is really good pressure, because obviously the fact of each of the Alenias are 20k. The Charis, when he gets the skill activated, will go up to an 18k from attack from back row. The Mantis is also going to be 18 attack from the back row, and the Gnosla himself is going to be 25k. So they all start to scale nicely against his Vanguard, forcing a lot of guard out of his hand, which he's already used a fair chunk of it already. He does use the blitz order for Bruce, so it's a 20k shield. And a 5k inset from Leonard puts him to the 38, so 2 to pass. So first check is a Damanaru, second check is a PG, which is very useful. I then Cat Blast 1, obviously, for Magnolia's skill. Giving 5 to Charis, 5 to Admantis, and a 5 to the Ganosola. Now, this is where I do slightly misplay. I should actually swung with the Admantis first, because obviously, if he defensived here, then the Admantis would have been completely shut off, but thankfully he didn't hit defensive. So obviously, he's asking for powers again. I'm saying it's 20, 20, and 25. But obviously, Ganosola can still pass his power on something else. So he crit trigger blocks this. This is then 20, the Vanguard. Also another 10k shield, which he does get a front on that defensive, so it does help him out in the long run. Obviously, that's now puts him to 23, so it would then obviously mean the Elenia under normal circumstances couldn't attack. I then do swing with this, but obviously Cat Blast for Ganosola, giving the 25k onto Elenia. He then swings 35k Vanguard, and he 1-card PGs me, even 1 card in hand. So we stand and draw. He does Persona Ride, and he drew a Leonard for turn, and he drew a Leonard off the Persona Ride. So obviously, no matter what, he would have had the Leonard back. Leonard is going to have the pressure of swinging at a column now to build up the soul for the Bruce. Obviously, Marjorie first, swings at Vanguards, soul charges, another Leonard. So this puts him to 4 souls. So obviously the Leonard does need to hit something no matter what to actually have the pressure. I've got to block everything for the fact of I haven't got enough cards in hand. And this is the point that he then realizes, oh, if I swing at a rear guard column, he isn't going to have enough guard to block it. So he swings in boosted. This is a nice hefty 38k at a rearguard column. He goes for the Ganosola Elenia column. And I'm mathing in my hand. Obviously, I've got 1 PG in hand, so the Vanguard is going to guarantee being blocked, because obviously I still got the 10k and the crit stuck to it. But I've got to just let the column drop at this point and just hope for a heal on one of the other attacks. He then calls out the PG behind the Marjorie, so obviously he's got the booster for the restand that's now incoming. Obviously, I could have done the simpleness of blocking one but letting the other hit, but then he could have just soul charged, choose not to call, and still been at the 5 soul. So he swings in here. I PG the Vanguard, because obviously I don't want to get the crit. He then swings in. This is now 25, so obviously I can block that with a 1-card PG. But I do not have enough cards to block the Marjorie as well, so I do have to rely on a heal. And unfortunately, I do not get the heal, and that is the end of game 1. And I shall see you back in a minute. Right, and we're back after game 1. Really close game. Really did enjoy it. Didn't really misplay as much this one. It was back and forth, back and forth. Could have maybe with the final turn taken the Marjorie, gone for that for the heal, so I kept the double PG to prevent the, I'm trying to think of his name, Leonard going off. Could have done little bits like that to maybe try and get a win, but I was relying on a heal no matter what at that point, so might as well have taken the, could have maybe taken the first one, but didn't make a difference in the end game anyway, unfortunately. But that's all it is for this video. If you'd like to like, comment, subscribe, it very much does help the channel. There is obviously going to be more games after this one, so please do stay tuned. I'm going to try and get all these out in one day. But there will be a playlist, which will obviously be in the end description, as usual. And I'll just catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.